So we got news on level 80 cap coming to global finally. And I mean, I say finally, but actually, I think it was a proper time. I initially thought that it would come out with Vascular just like it was in GP, but they did delay for coming out with Luthier Mel, which is coming out as well today as the time I'm recording this video. So what are the units that you should get to 80? Of course, you should get every unit you like to 80 as well. But these are just the recommendations of going first, and this is in no order. I think that if there is an order, I can mention at the end there. But these are just the characters that I really recommend because they are viable, and they have long term, right? They have long term usage, and in the future you're gonna be really using them, opposed to like leveling up. Let's say, let me bring a random character. Let's say you want to level up the red nunchuck bond because you really like red nunchuck bond. You're gonna be using him sometimes on red demon, sometimes on crimson, but there's gonna be better options in the future, and you're gonna be replacing them very soon. But these are characters that are gonna be pretty much irreplaceable. As of I'm recording this video on GP, they're still characters I use, and they have long term, right? So first off, Luthier Mel, he's coming out today, right? So if you pull him, yes, get him to 80. He's a fantastic unit. Absolutely amazing. By the way, let me actually include, this is not in the game yet. She is not in the game yet. But when Lilia comes out, alright? No, not this one. When Lilia comes out, alright? Also get her to 80. Like, no questions asked. She is a god tier unit. And these two paired up are god tier, alright? So this is the first recommendation. If you pull Luthier Mel, if you don't, unlucky. If you pull Luthier Mel, yes, here's a recommendation from me. Level 80. And so is Lilia, whenever she comes out. I'm just putting this right. I'm not going to update this video for a while, right? I'm not going to update recommendations for a while. So whenever she comes out, I do recommend to also max her out as soon as possible. Alright, moving on. Of course, the usuals, you know, you have Red Gopher, the best support in the game. Ranking up the cards and stuff. He is used for every raid. Hell is not on global yet, I know, but until Hell comes out, you're always going to be using him on every raid. If you don't know why you wouldn't use him on every raid on Hell, you can only use type advantage. So let's say for Red Demon, you cannot use red units. So if you could, he would be in every raid. If you could, you'd still use him on every raid on Hell. Even the Grey Demon, which is blue, you'd still use him on Hell. But yeah, go for using him on every raid. You use him on pretty much every activity you can. You use him on PvP. Like right now in JP, I know he's back on meta. He left meta a little bit because of Lost Fate Meliodas, but he's back on meta because of Lost Fate Meliodas as well, which is weird. But yeah, he's still a meta unit. He just has the longest you know, streak of being a top tier unit in this game. So yeah, Gopher, of course. Ascanor, do I even have to say? Like, come on, man. He's Ascanor. He's just so good, and he never falls off. Like, even with all these like top tier red units that come out eventually, like Red Derriere and Lost Fate Meliodas, he is still a overused unit in PvP, and he's still a fantastic damage dealer and everything. So really good to get to 80. And just so good. Just stops here for. I think that, you know, he falls off PvE wise because you don't want to use him on raids. Although using him for Hell Grey Demon is actually not so bad if your king is, if you don't want to upgrade your Green King, which I actually didn't place Green King on this list because I don't think it's a priority. But I do recommend, like, eventually, not a priority, eventually when you have more resources, Green King is actually a good option, but not a priority at all. Green Ascanor, if you don't have a Green King leveled up, he's actually a really good option for Grey Hell. But PvE-wise, he does fall off, but PvP-wise, he never does, man. He just doesn't fall off, he's just so good. Blue King, god tier unit. Like, Blue King is just so good. Petrify, I mean, again, PvE wise, it doesn't end up falling off because farming Meliodas and Lilia and stuff, but PvP never falls off. To this day, meta unit is just, Petrify is just so strong. I think it's not even Petrify that makes him so strong, it's the cleaning debuffs on level 1. It's just such a stupid ability. I don't want to say stupid because it balances the game out to make debuffs not as strong, right? Which is really good. If debuffs were super strong, attack sealing and petrifying would still be so annoying. You guys never had this period on global, but for a while on GP, if you were petrified, cleansing the petrify would not allow you to use cards on that turn still. That was a later patch that came out like over like 7 or 8 months of the game being already, or 6 months or something like that, of the game being already released, right? So you guys think Kingbrum is toxic on global? You guys have no idea how it was before that patch, where if you petrified someone, let's say they have an ultimate, right? And you petrified them, the enemy couldn't just take off the petrify and use the ultimate in that same turn. They couldn't do anything about it. It's just so stupid. But this card is just so good because of that. And attack sealing, of course, as well. The same thing. If you were attack sealed and if you cleanse the attack, you wouldn't be able to attack in that same turn either. So King is just a fantastic unit because of it, and it takes so long for another unit to release like that, because I'm pretty damn sure. Let me actually go by I'm not gonna. Let me go by skill filter right here and cleanse remove debuffs, right? Out of like all these units, the only unit right here, the only 2 units right here that cleanse on level 1 are this and this. No, sorry. These 2 units, Zaneri, which removes on level 1, and Gloxinia, which also removes on level 1. And Zaneri is an exclusive like unit for was it Valentine's Day, and like super exclusive, and Gloxinia just came out on GP. So for the longest time, you won't be able to cleanse so easily. Wait, does Gila cleanse level? She does. Wow, I didn't know. I knew she was a healer. It's fine, no one uses her. But like of relevancy, really just is Gloxinia, because she's trash. So just Gloxinia. So it's just it takes so long for another unit that cleanse to come out. So it just never loses value, right? Next up is Hauser. Hauser, just a fantastic farming unit. And you'd think like, not a lot of people like to discuss, oh, but why would I want DM Meliodas if I already have Hauser? They have the same card. You don't understand. This team right here, Lilia, Blue DM Meliodas, and Hauser, farm stuff so fast, because Hauser ends up getting stronger because of Lilia as well. So this team right here, this is not my farming team anymore, because JP released a Shin, which is a new farming unit that I like more than Hauser, because I just like the character more. I legitimately, he's not even that much better. I just like him because of the character. He's an emo boy, but that's the only reason, right? But this team right here, like, cleans activities so fast, because this card and this card hit so hard because of the extra pierce, right? So getting Hauser ready is worth it for the farming capabilities. And I know on PvP he's still meta on global, so that's also an extra, right? But like, this is just based on my experience on farming. It's worth getting him to 80 just because of that. And if PvP is just an extra for him, right? In my opinion, the PvP side, that he's still really good on global, and he's gonna remain good because people can still run this team on PvP for a while, because unless they release Valencia too fast, this team will dominate for a little bit. So yeah, that's my recommendation. Hauser is a really, really good unit. Jericho is really good for Guild Boss, but I'm putting an asterisk on Jericho, because we know that Guild Boss will change on global, just like it changed on JP, to a boss that's red type. She might lose relevancy. Sorry, it is blue type, but you can't really nuke with Jericho. I'm sorry, it is blue type, but you can't really nuke with Jericho. The strategies don't work. It's interesting. She loses a little bit of that, but she's still a fantastic nuker. I would say out of the list, I said I'm not gonna rank, but as an asterisk, I would say she's like the worst one on my list because of that. Like right now on global, she's really good, and she's gonna do Guild Boss incredibly fine. But longevity, the Guild Boss changes, and I don't know when it's gonna change on global. It is on the dev notes for global, but it is gonna change eventually. So she will lose a lot of relevancy, but as a nuker, whatever nuking activity that is, she is gonna be the best nuker for a long time until Derriere comes out. And even when Derriere comes out, she's still a fantastic nuker. And the game has been shifting towards nerfing Derriere more and more with the new activities, like removing buffs and stuff, which is where she's based on doing damage. So Jericho gets relevancy because of that. Like right now, with the new nuking activity that they released on JP, I use Jericho, not Derriere, for example. So she is very relevant as a nuker, and she's better at nuking than Escanor. So I do recommend her, but she would be like the last one on my list. But still, Arthur, fantastic PvP unit. Whenever Red Escanor comes out, which legitimately, I would not be surprised if he doesn't like if he takes like not too long to release on global. Whenever Red Escanor comes out, he is his best partner, and he is still a fantastic unit on PvP already, right? So and he's gonna keep being like, just because Blue Emilio is gonna come out doesn't mean that Arthur is gonna lose relevancy that much. Of course, he's a blue unit, so he's gonna be in a little of a typing shock, but he's still going to be relevant for a little while, and whenever Red Escanor comes out, he becomes even more relevant. So just for the sake of, investment in units that you know are still going to be good for a while, Arthur is fantastic. It's all, of course, it's only because of buff cards, but this card is actually super good. Like, it's such a cheeky thing to just attack seal the enemy and then disable their king from removing the attack seal. If you're using mono red, right, using Gopher and Arthur, just doing that is just such, it's just such, so annoying. But yeah, Arthur is really good. They recommend him. And then for the last SSR, Merlin, so good. Merlin is just a low-key incredible unit. She's never like the one to do the most out of the match, but the extra ultimate gauge, and when she pops in and she can remove ultimate from the enemies, is so good. Right now in JP, the team that's meta, it's Merlin, Blue King, and Lost Vein Meliodas. And the reason for Merlin is because of the ultimate gauge extra, and takes off ultimate gauge as well of the enemy. It's just so good. It's just such a good combination of everything. Merlin is so fantastic. And she's a good link for Meliodas. It's another reason to get her to 80 and 6 out of 6. She is an ultimate link with Meliodas and with Escanor, which is just so good. Now for the SRs, for the sake of longevity, I only have 2 options, but honestly, because SR pendants are not, they're separate, right? The only thing that you're going to be using that you would use in an SSR are the raid materials, which in my opinion, raid materials are infinitely farmable. I know you can only get 6 raids a day, I know, but because you can accept invites, and if you are an active player and you have like an active guild, you should be receiving raid invites decently frequently. And it's not infinitely, of course, farmable, but it has a really good farming rate, especially if you play the game quite a bit, and it requires you to play the game a lot, if you want resources for all these units. But, eventually it ends up being easier and easier as the game progresses, especially when the hell difficulty comes out, because you get more raid materials in that. But I only picked 2, but honestly, whatever SR that you like Ellie Hawk, Red Elizabeth, whatever SR that you really like, you can also evolve them. But I put Gilfounder because he is a raid god. You use him on all the extreme difficulties, and he's just fantastic, right? And I do recommend get him to 80. And you also use him in PvP still for a little bit. He does lose a lot of relevancy eventually, but when Valenci comes out, he will be a necessary unit for her team. So for a while, he will be very relevant. So I do recommend getting him to 80 because of that. And Red Slater, Training Cave will come out eventually. I was surprised it wasn't on this patch. No, I was, not that I was expecting for it to release on this patch, but eventually it will come out. And there is a stage on Training Cave that you can solo with Slater. And other than that, he's a fantastic, I love Red Slater. Red Slater is just so good. So getting Red Slater to 80 is a recommendation from me. I do think it's worth it, especially for that stage. And because of Training Cave, you want to use the least amount of units possible for each stage, or the least amount of good units per stage. Just having a stage that you can just use 1 unit and just be done with it, it's fantastic. All right, so that's it for my list of recommendations. Of course, there are other units. Oh, of course, for the rankings. I would say, first of all, you should get, if you do pull, Meliodas. And the reason for it is just because. He's the brand new toy. Just get him to 80. God damn it. But other than that, go for him. Fantastic because you're using so much. King, he's just so good. And Escanor, I think these are my 3 picks just for fun. Because I love these units. But, there's no order. Just pick whatever ones you like the most. But these are my recommendations. Alright, thank you guys for watching. And, yeah.